Welcome to Igniting Inspired Inquiry, a space for real conversations with incredible humans. I'm your host, Jay, and I'm here to open the door to reflection, resonance, and revelation. If you have a moment to like, share, subscribe, or review, I would deeply appreciate you sharing the love. This is a space for truth, trust, and the kind of insight that comes from simply being human. Thank you for being here. Let's begin. Welcome. And today I'm honored to have a beautiful human, another who I met at Wellfest in Queenstown. I'm very glad I did. And it actually connected a little more over what she is receiving from the podcast, which was really cool to have her feedback. And then I was like, hey, you should come and have a convo. And here we are. So I'm excited to introduce Neha and excited to hear. Who is she? Who is Neha? Arriving here today. Share that with us.
Kia ora, G. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this conversation goes. But yeah, this is one question every time I listen to an episode, I'm like, oh, that's a big question, you know?
Yeah.
And I think some people are just like quite easily to talk about what they do and things like that. But I, who am I? I am, I think. Because I did think about this. But one thing
Yes.
that I kept coming back to was like movement, and I feel like one word that really resonates with me right now and has been for the last few years quite deeply is a traveler. I feel like I'm a
Mm.
traveler, whether it's physically, metaphysically, psychologically. Um, I I feel like I'm always trying to see more and know more and understand more than what I
Mm.
already do. Um, because I'm just really fascinated by the human condition. And I think, you know, every other person around me is such a gift because everyone has a different experience and a perspective, and I'm forever curious and trying to learn from everyone else because I think through others' experiences, I understand my own better as well.
Mm.
And travel, traveling to different countries, different places, always is where I feel most alive, is when I meet people, whether they're from that place or also traveling like myself.
Mm.
And again, doesn't have to be to a new country. It could be to a new experience where people that don't normally intersect come together for some reason. And that's like a really
Mm-hmm.
exciting kind of travel, you know. I feel like you travel into other people's minds and things like that. Um, can really just, I don't know, that's what makes me feel most alive. And I think what
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel most alive is what you are. You know, that's
Yes.
like the essence of your being in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like Traveler really resonated with me. And then, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm a writer.
Yes.
And that is just, I think, how my me comes out, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's another part of my being, existence. Yeah. And I'm a lover of love and harmony. You know, I
Yay.
love connecting people, and I like beyond everything, I think I really believe in the like collective power to
Mm.
create and to change the world, a community, anything for the better. That's something that I really find it drives me to do what I do in terms of mahi and just every day, really.
Yeah, beautiful. So many things align, and I love that. So there's
Yeah.
there's curiosity, exploration, traveling, connection. And I didn't know you sang, so I just learned something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is like very much a deep part of yourself when you sing or express in music or
Mm,
creativity, any kind of creation, right? Is very much like
mm,
it's a showing of who you are, which is so
mm,
beautiful.
mm.
Or something that's a part of you.
Yeah,
Mm, yay. I
absolutely.
love that. I'm really curious in that mode about what's going to come through in this next question. So the common thread, the one you know and have heard
Mhm.
in other podcasts, for you, what is alive for you today in answering this question? What is one moment, belief, or experience that changed the way you see the world?
Yeah, this was another really interesting because yeah, and I'm glad that you focus on like the one because there's so many often, I
Mm,
think
yes.
there's I always call, you think about like yourself and it's like that's like season one, Neha,
Hmm. Hmm.
underdeveloped and or like, and so many pivotal moments occur along the way. I think the one that I feel like I'm still riding on, um, that that change that it created in me. There was, I'd say, I guess, like two moments that was part of an experience, and that was a couple of years ago. I was fortunate enough to be able to travel to the beautiful island of Niue, and I had just one moment where I met a fellow traveler, just a gorgeous human being, and we just sat on the beach and having a chat. And I don't know, I think at that point was in this state, like I had just finished delivering this huge event and campaign, and it was like I got on the plane and just shed everything. But you think you've shed everything and you're still carrying some of that tension. And in that moment, I said, "Oh, sometimes I just wish I could just live on an island in the middle of nowhere because, like, what's better than this?" And this guy just turns to me and says, "Well, what's stopping you?" You know? And I was like, I didn't expect to feel that confronted by this
Yeah.
question, and because people would have so many answers to that question as well. And I was like, but which of those answers is actually like actually limiting me, actually stopping me? And it made me re-examine my beliefs and beyond just like what capitalist society and conditioning has done, which is something that I feel like I've been actively trying to unlearn within myself for many years now. But yeah, just that like assigning what you assign value to, whether it's earnings, achievements, whatever it is. And it's so interesting that because that really showed me that I was still trapped under so many of those beliefs at a level that I hadn't reached, to unlearn it. And then it really caught me. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's if you decide to actually just do something because there's nothing else that you want more, there's actually nothing stopping you. There might be some practical challenges along the way, but even if as you're trying to overcome them, you're still doing that thing. You're not saying, I wish I could do this thing and just park it there and not take any steps towards it. So it kind of made me realize that while I don't, achieving this like thing that I wish I could do is not about dropping everything right this moment and doing that. It's about moving towards it consciously.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
and that like it was like me on the outside proclaiming that, yeah, I only do what I choose and what I want. And then in this moment, I realized that I wasn't fully, honoring what my choices were. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to choose something and I was saying I couldn't, but the choice is always mine, right?
That's
And
right.
so, um, and that goes for anything, it's not just about like where you're living, what you're working, all that. It's just anything that you wish for. And it actually changed the course of my life because on the flight home, I had this like clarity in a way that just so many layers were just stripped
Yeah.
away of like, all the things that I had thought were like, these are the reasons I can't.
Yeah.
It literally on the flight home, I was like, well, it became so clear all the steps that I had to take to just go. I realized I needed to activate Rolling Stone mode, I called it, because I was like,
Yes.
I'm clearly not happy just being in one place and I just needed to be moving. I needed to get into traveler, like physical traveler space. And so I was like, yeah, that's easy. Like, yeah, this is where I give notice to this particular role. And then this is the month that I will leave the country. And this is, like like none of that was even in like none of that happened. And that journey is still, I think, going, even though I've returned to Aotearoa, I am still on that journey.
I love
And
that.
I think I embody that,
Mm.
choice a lot more. And I think it's
Hmm.
really changed how I view the world just hugely. Even though I'm
Yeah.
back doing some of the same mahi that I was doing before I left,
It took
the
you
the
down a
view
path.
has complete yeah, the view has completely changed and my
Yeah,
attachment
cool.
to that has completely changed.
Yeah,
And
because it's not what you're doing, it's how you feel about what you're doing and the perspective that
yeah,
is
and
aligned with you in that.
yeah, and how I feel about the, you know, that like feeling of like I'm doing this because I've got to, you know, or,
Mm. Or I
it's that,
choose.
yeah, it's more I choose, and I'm always checking in with that. And I'm not assuming that because I've chosen it, that that is now like, I don't need to think about this again.
Hmm.
It's about
Hmm.
always checking in with it, I think, as
Agreed.
well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I love that. I
And,
also love like that you reflected that that moment when he asked you that question, like that's confronting, right? But and it's so
mm,
true though that when we have the most confronting moments are when we are reflected where we're in our own way. But then also
yeah.
when we acknowledge that the clarity on the other side of that is like poof.
Mhm.
And then as you said, it's like, oh well, everything just lined up. And it just like because you all you
Yeah.
needed was that confrontation that created the
Hmm.
clarity. And then you're like, huh. And we get reminded, I'm going down a path I didn't choose, not necessarily consciously, but now I am.
Mm.
I can choose
Yeah. Yeah,
and keep
exactly.
choosing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like it was such a gift, that question it's literally 3 words. And it was such a gift asked by a complete, at that point, stranger. And
Yes.
it was incredible that, I
I
mean, I'm
love
sure
it.
people have asked me that before, but
It was in that moment
yeah.
and that it needed to be. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because and people might have answered that, before, but you weren't hearing it in the moment that you needed to.
Yeah. And then that was sort of
Ooh.
followed by another experience where we were able to share space with a tupuna from the deep, with the humpback whales that were around the island at that time, and just being in the presence of one of the largest creatures of the ocean, and then whilst we were in the water, the whale breached as well. So imagine that happening sort of like 30 meters away whilst you're just bobbing along on the surface.
Wow.
And it was just, like there's nothing to describe that, like, literally nothing else exists, but also you realize that if this can exist, anything can. If I can
Mm-hmm.
exist in this moment, I can, like, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that the whale was just being, it was claiming its space. Whereas, it can be under the ocean, under the surface, and you wouldn't even know that they were there.
Mm.
And, these are creatures that are so intelligent and so aware of everything around them, above, below, but they never ever feel the need to take up more space than they need, and it was just such a reminder that, like, here
Mm.
I am, like, yes, I was congratulating myself for being brave and, getting into the water in the first place, but really it was also this, like, incredible reality check of just how small we are, but also how
Mm.
big life
Mm.
actually is, both within us and beyond us.
Yes.
And that's not something to be taken lightly ever. And again, it brought me back to that choice of, yeah, of got everything ahead of me, but also um I was also humbled because, choice is something that not everyone might have, in terms of, like, I had the freedom as well, and
Yes.
the privilege to be able to act upon those
Mm.
choices. And despite being this tiny speck of life, and yeah, so I think it was a blessing from the ancestors of the deep be to be a witness to something so incredible. And but also, like, we're all life, and so I should, I remind myself to be grateful that I'm able to be a witness to my own life. And yeah, and I have power to be good and do good at all times. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yes. And the awe of life. And that all comes from being asked a question, but not just being asked a
Mm.
question, but reflecting on
Mm.
um, that confrontation and seeing what it meant for you and then flowing with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's what I was hearing too, is like that when we follow these threads, unbeknownst to us of why they're there, but they're there, that the feeling is there, we need to follow it, then we see why.
Yeah.
And
It's
the awe is just incredible.
yeah, and I mean, uh, why I wasn't even thinking of Niue. I was thinking of going to Tonga. And then somehow Niue dropped in, and, like,
That's it.
oof, it
Follow
was
it.
it
And now
was
you know why. And that's what I love
yeah.
too, is like when you're in those moments, you're like, that's why that dropped in. That's why I felt so strongly about
Mm,
that. And the
mm,
more we learn and listen, the more we listen and then follow it, then we learn to
mm.
listen on a deeper level and
Yeah.
trust that
Yeah.
learning, trust that knowing.
That trust that built that, I think that's the harder step. First is like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna hang on to this choice. And then the minute you sort of reintegrate, right? And you step out of the sort of force field of that amazing moment. And you have, because those your familiar patterns are still waiting for you, and your calendar is still waiting for you. And and it's
Oh,
then
yes.
and then it's that trust that really, I think, is what helps you. You've got to
Mhm.
find it. And I think that's the back and forth a little bit
Yep.
between really just staying on that new path that's been revealed to you, is the trust. And that, like, yeah, having trust and having faith in the leap of faith that you've
Hmm.
decided to take,
Yep.
because your body said yes, your soul said yes. And yeah,
Hmm.
following through with this thing in here.
Yes. Yes. And that's the magic of life, right? Yeah. That is the magic.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's so beautiful when life reflects that back to us. And I really feel the resonance in what you're sharing. So thank you so much.
Mm.
Now we're live in question two. So this is in the moment. You don't know the question. And what I'm really wanting to ask you is, I'm super inspired by your work and by the things that you're involved in. And so the question is around that. And I was wondering if you could share with me, with us, what do you feel is a big question, but in the work that you do, what do you feel we need the most change? Where do you feel we need the most change in the work that you do?
Mm, that is a fantastic question. I think about it all the time.
Mm.
And it's so weird because it's quite close to the question I was going to ask you.
Oh, sweet. Bring it.
But yeah, it's slightly different. So, but
Yeah.
I think that's going to really be nice with the conversation.
Yay.
Um, so what do you think, what do I think we need the most? Everything I do. So, just for context, I work obviously in events, community events, pretty much exclusively in the non-profit sector. So I've worked in the volunteering sector. I'm currently working within sustainability and also now moving into a new role with community wellbeing. So
Amazing.
I and I'm also recently stepped back into education, which is something that I did when I first started into the professional world. And the one thing, and I think I'll refer back to what I said about myself, that connector piece of me, I think that's what I find is the most important is connection. And this is said in so many different ways, in so many different spaces, and at so many different levels all the time. I think, the one thing that we really need to rediscover is genuine connection because so much around us is dehumanizing both us and other people. And we don't even realize it because I feel like we've normalized a certain percentage of dehumanization where we don't feel compelled, we don't feel obliged to acknowledge 100% of each other's humanity. And I find that absolutely terrifying. And so that is where, and I see it every day. Like, I think people have said for decades now, like, when you see someone wearing a uniform, they kind of become invisible. And it's like how, people in the service industry, in any kind of industry where you're wearing a uniform, are treated often. Um, but I think that's now becoming pretty across the board because we observe each other far too much on a screen where it gets to the point, and this catches me out all the time, is that I forget how much of people's lives I've actually witnessed in real life versus on a screen because we know too much about each other from not a primary source, so to speak, even if it's that person sharing their story on a screen. I just don't think that that's the same as sharing a conversation with them about them telling you a story about something that happened in their life or um yeah, I think and that's what lies at the root of everything that I try to create here in the community is how do I create experiences, events, um, any kind of campaign where I can get people together and allow them to connect in a way that is so fundamental that they'll carry it away with them. Because if I can add a little piece of connection back into every person that has come through to something that I've helped create, that is a win for me
Hmm.
because that is, to me, if we remember that we're not just living for us, whether it has to do with sustainability, whether it has to do with well-being, whether it has to do with community service, whatever it is, if we can remember that there is we are not just living for us, we will just act differently. We just will. We just
I
will.
agree.
That because there is something so visceral about that. Like our conscience has deteriorated
Mm-hmm.
because of this,
Yep.
kind of barrier that is this thing. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and yeah, I think that's something that is we're lacking. And one of my dear friends, Lucian, created this gorgeous piece of art. It's a collage, and he put on there, it said, how we treat the earth is how we feel about our children.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me, that
That's
kind of
massive.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I
I
was
feel
just
that way
like,
too. Yeah.
and it was like, but that is pretty much like, it's not just how we feel about our children, it's about how we feel about each other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if the life that is in me is also in everybody else, how how have we made it possible to disrespect that very life
Mm-hmm.
by somehow being told that by doing certain things we're preserving our own, but we're not.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
For me to be free, to be, do, and be myself, exist as a human being, everyone must be free, right? So I
Mm.
think
Yeah.
if we remember that connection, if we the biggest thing that we need, the most important thing that we need more of in really sort of genuine, really almost primal ways is connection. Because when it comes to, I mean, look at the state of, like, just let's talk about all these natural phenomena that are, affecting people across the world, whether it's a fire, a flood, storms. There's so much. What happens in those moments? We need each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we need each other more than we need anything else.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually all
And
that matters
that's all that
in
matters. And
those
if
moments.
we forget how to connect, how
Mm-hmm.
the heck are we going to survive?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's so true. So important. Yeah.
And so I think, we can do all this campaigning on social media,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it's like get people in a room, get them
And we
to
have to
look at
practice
each
it
other.
ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it's the disconnection that's keeping people disconnected. It's the lack of ability to know what to do and how to connect.
Mm,
That then people perceiving it's too hard or they don't know
mm-hmm,
how to do it. Whereas it's like
mm-hmm.
it's something you can
Or,
learn and it's a
yeah,
skill that needs it's a muscle that needs flexed for sure.
yeah.
Have you
And
noticed
it's
that?
absolutely, and it's,
Mm.
when you said that, they think they don't know how to do it, but it is our most natural
Agreed.
ability.
It's a thought,
And
but it's not true.
yeah, yeah, no, but like, but it's becoming true because that's how people are thinking about it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's actually the most natural thing that we are able to do because we have
Mm.
always been social animals.
Mm.
It's that has also been turned into a convenience,
Yeah.
right? And
And
the
that's
minute
I
something is turned into a convenience, you stop flexing that muscle.
agreed. Yeah. Yeah. And we're
Mm,
wired without unconsciously to search for what is easy and what is but then also
mm,
I think another part of it
mm.
the lack of connection or not wanting to is that well honestly I think people are too busy.
Why are we too busy?
And we're so busy, we're so stressed though. But then when we think about connecting with someone, we A, think about that as effort. B, it's
It
not practice, so it feels hard.
hmm
And then we're too tired to even think about it.
Yeah, and we end up connecting with a version of that because think about what often people choose to do, whether they're sat in front of a TV screen and they're observing lives, whether it's, fictional or non-fictional of others, but through a barrier, you know. So we are seeking that connection still
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
whether you escape into a book or
Hmm.
go to the cinema and escape into a movie or you watch some trash reality TV, I don't know. But we
Hmm.
are seeking that connection because
Yeah,
we are wanting to
it's
connect
so
with
true.
other lives
Hmm.
in some
Hmm.
ways. But
And
we've lost the
feeling,
courage. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
feeling something for it, absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's that exchange of emotion that doesn't occur. And
Agreed.
when the exchange doesn't occur, not only we forget that it's okay to express ourselves,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
and we also forget how to receive
Hmm. I know. I was
emotions.
literally, yeah, just thinking that. So true.
Yeah. So like both of those tasks are lost. And I mean, we're so in this Tahino community, we're very fortunate. Like, there are people that are actively trying, like the libraries are always trying
Hmm.
to get people in a room and kind of break some of those
Yeah.
patterns that have
Yeah, it's
developed.
got
And
harder, that's for sure.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like you said, that busyness is also coming from we've added convenience so that you have more time to do more things in your
I know.
life.
I
And
know.
for some people that is like, oh yeah, now that I can, turn my dishwasher on through my phone, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I get it.
Now
I get
now
it.
I can go to do this one activity, but
Or now I'm just like, I've got more time to be busy.
yeah, more time to be more busy.
Mm.
And we add more without allowing time for absorption. It's something I say like at festivals and stuff as well. Like, there's so much, and I'll be like, can circle all the things on the schedule. But then it's like actually, and that is again, that's that mindset of like, gotta do everything, dropping into this space where I'm trying to get away from that. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
go in. But it's like, actually,
You
I'm
need
gonna go do
balance.
this and then actually let that hour of, incredible learning
Hmm.
sink in,
Oh,
absorb it,
agreed.
reflect
Otherwise,
on it.
what's the point? Because
Yeah.
the
And
thing that you do is like 10, 20%, and the
mhm,
integration,
mhm.
absorption, it's like 80% of it. Like, why are you
Yeah,
there and what did you learn? And what will you do with it now?
exactly. That next step of taking it forward into the rest of your
Yeah.
life to actually feel
Yeah.
the impact
And it
of
doesn't have
what.
to be, yeah.
Sorry.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. So you just don't let
Yeah.
the impact
And you don't have to
actually
come to the,
occur.
yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to be able to just really sit in the resonance of what you receive.
Mm,
And so there's sometimes there's like, oh, well, what will I going to do with this information now? But actually before that, it's just like, how does this make me feel? And it
yeah,
was the same
that's
as when
it.
you were reflecting in that first question of like, oh, it's confronting. And then why? And then,
Mm,
oh, so it's that self-inquiry where the growth is. And it's so
yeah,
beautiful. But that is
yeah.
also, and thread of your question is like, that's deepening the connection with yourself, which helps you deepen connection with others.
Yeah, but we've been robbed of like again that time to sit with
Mm.
anything, right? Like
Well, not
obviously
even,
somewhere
yes.
you made a choice like I want to go to this workshop, right? And then you're not even honoring that choice fully.
Mm.
When you go to the workshop and then you're like, right, tick, I've done it. But you didn't even listen fully to like, why did you choose that? Why did I choose this
Mm.
workshop? What made me choose this? Something inside me. There was a need that I was listening to when I said, yeah, that sounds good, you
Mm.
know,
Mm.
and I'm going to go to that. And then, but you forget that just going to the workshop is not going to fulfill the need necessarily, you know, that
Mm.
that you absorbing it, taking the next steps of like, what else do I need? Do I still need more? Like that's what's, and yeah, you're absolutely right. That connection to self is lost because it it's reflected back when we connect with each other. And if we don't do that, then yeah, we don't go deep
That's what,
enough.
that's right. That's
Mm.
why we do the work we do.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
for that. That
Mm.
is just, there's a lot to reflect on in there, and I really love
Mm.
that. And I know that people listening will really hear that. And I hope even in the second part of the answer, just take a moment to really sit with what it means for you and
Mm.
not make meaning out of it, just feel into
Mm.
it. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's really special.
Yeah,
Which
thank
is
you.
it's interesting because you at the beginning of the question you said about phones and connection,
Mm.
which was hilarious because listeners won't know, but we had trouble getting
Yeah.
on this call. And then you also said about, oh, it's really weird because this is like similar to where what my question is, but it's never weird. It's always synchronous. And I love
Yeah.
that, especially
Yeah.
because where we've been chatting is very much in alignment with other conversations I've had today. And I really feel that that's the
Mm.
way it is now when we're really in the deep listening of life. So
Yeah.
this is where we get to you, question three, reflecting
Yes.
light. You
Yes,
have a question for me.
I do. And this is something that, like, I think I was just so, when I first met you, um, obviously, like, the first communication was all through WhatsApp chats and
Mm,
something, just even that first email that I received it was so full of um genuine love, even though I know that you sent a similar email to probably several other people that were wanting to volunteer but there
mm,
was but you knew that it was going out to potentially complete strangers, and you still managed to infuse it with something that was like, ooh, yes, you know, excite like really just like whatever that first pull was for me to connect into Wellfest, you just made that stronger. And yeah, so just as someone that I've seen bring people together, often people that have just met both you and each other, um, but and they've sort of chosen to work together in this new environment potentially for them. There's this like combination of excitement, but also a level of trust about what lies ahead, right? Because especially if it's you, you've just chosen to be there. And so I'm curious to know, we talked about connection. What do you think is the magic ingredient? Because I feel like there's certain people that hold it that can then, you know, be like the crux of that energy and then draw everyone else in and everyone just kind of comes together. So what do you think is the magic ingredient that can like sort of connect people to co-create in like a really cooperative, truly community focused way that just lets us come up above the personal gain from something. And I don't mean personal gain in like a negative sense of the word, but yes, of course, everyone has a need that they're wanting to get fulfilled when they come to join something, an event or whatever it is. Yeah, so what do you think, as someone that often brings people together, is the magic ingredient to authentic co-creation?
mm.
That's a very
It's a
long
beautiful,
question, sorry.
it's a beautiful question. Um, it's nice. Firstly, it's just nice to hear that's sort of what you received as in the beginning of our communication. And actually, that would be probably my first answer is just
Mm,
honest and authentic
mm,
communication.
yeah.
And I share that because I want to reflect on where you started. But the biggest piece, which is loud and proud for me in everything I do, it is equality.
Mm,
And no matter where I work, whether I'm working with a one-on-one client or whether we're working in a group, and yes, I'm kind of leading the way, I don't want anyone to feel as though I'm above them
Mm,
in any way, shape, or form. And even in how I deliver the information that they may require, it comes from a place of this is something I invite you into. And this
mm.
may be something that you'd like to receive, but this is not something I know better and you should follow.
Love that.
So equality, communication, I think is the big piece in terms of, and in terms of letting people in with what you're doing as well, instead of like, this is what I need you to do. It's like, this is what we're working on together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
need the whole picture for that.
Mm.
And understanding it again, depending on what you're doing, but for the festival's sake, it's like we're going on a journey. And I
Yes.
want you to come along on the ride for the ride, and
Hmm.
making feel people feel because they are, but they may not have realized it yet, that they're a part of something.
Yeah.
And then and I think that's what I love about wow, it's what I love about leadership. It's what I love
Mm.
about holding space for people is
Mm.
realizing that. And I've actually, it was again, it's another synchronicity. It was just writing that, like, because to me leadership
Mm.
isn't it's not a me, it's a we.
Yeah. Yes.
And we together are a superpower, right? But
Yes.
also I'm not here above you, I'm here with you.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
even in the practical sense, it's like if I'm leading again, say the Wellfest, the festival, there's no job that I'm not above or below. It's like I'll clean the
Hmm.
loo, and
Yeah.
I need to too. It's like it, but also
Hmm.
it's just yeah, that's what resonates for me, as well as being willing to do the work just as much as the people you're asking to do the work.
That's right. Yeah. I love that equality. That kind of gave me goosebumps the first time you said
It's
it.
huge.
And it is huge, and how much the communication feeds into that is
Hmm.
also huge. And I think what sets people apart definitely as that ability to communicate without that ego because they've been
Hmm.
given a title and also like I don't know if you found this, but working in the community space, like I think you're almost expected to have a bit of that if you're a coordinator, manager, you know. And when you don't, it's sometimes seen as like, well, is that person truly a leader because they're not being bossy? And hate to say it,
Hmm.
but women especially,
Mm.
um, are viewed like, oh, well, that's, like it's like, but it's not about the limelight and everybody listen to me. You do need to have moments like that, but it is to create that sort of even ground.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's
And
been a really big part of my work is teaching people a different way in terms of
hmm
leadership and even just
hmm
I mean, one of the ways I got there was from being in some really toxic work environments
yeah.
and seeing the leadership
Mm.
and just seeing, learning what not to do. Thank you very much for teaching me that, those people, but
Yes.
then also understanding that, I have the ability to lift people up to where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that feels more important than being above anyone ever.
100%. Yeah. Because it's like if I can show you that, you know, there are some ways that we can all create change. And
Hmm.
if we can all, getting people up to stand beside you is just making the movement of whatever you're trying to achieve stronger. It is
Agreed.
not going to be, like the
Hmm.
the the peak of the mountain is not the strongest part of it,
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
you know? It
Yeah, and that's the same like in other parts of my work. It's like when I learn something, it's not like, oh, I know better. It's like, come with me. It's really good over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, check this out.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
um and I think that that's where the honesty part also
Hmm.
really plays into it because when it's coming from a place of like people can always tell whether they realize that they can or not.
Hmm.
That is is the biggest magnet, I say, you
Hmm.
know, and this is something I always said to people, like when you're trying to recruit volunteers, like don't use language that you think sounds good. Say how you truly feel. Lead,
Hmm.
like put your passion first. Don't be afraid of showing the passion either, because I think that's something that a lot of leaders don't do is like they
Hmm.
don't they don't go hard out when they're talking about what they're doing because they've got to sound, I don't know, professional and
There's
managerial
a
or
sweet spot
whatever.
there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a sweet
But
spot there, I think, because people also like if you're leading them, they do view you as like
yeah.
needing to have it all together
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, I think you
in a
absolutely
way.
have to have, yeah, having it all together, but not losing the passion, you know, being
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in what you like, rem saying that, like speaking just as passionately about every role that,
Mm,
you know, it needs to be filled in any project, campaign, event, whatever it is, like, and being able to say that, like, this is really helping all of us do this, you know. Um, and being able to say that about any task that you are asking people to do. So, yeah, I think that that honesty and equality,
amazing
that
question.
really, yeah, that really,
Thank
that's,
you.
thank you. No, that's,
Yeah,
appreciate the way that you frame that because
I love being in
beautiful.
that reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
just it's really nice to know that that has been received actually, and I'm
Mm.
sure from I mean even
Absolutely.
the reason you're asking is that it impacts into like how you do your work. And that's where I want to get
Yeah.
from. It's like if you could
Yeah.
share with because we do need to wind up, but like
Sure.
if you could share with us like how do people connect with you and with what you're doing? What are you working on at the Mo?
Yeah. So, as I said, working on I run a variety of sustainability events in Queenstown. So the next couple of things that are happening are repair events. We're looking for people that have any kind of repair skills. If you're a volunteer, um, who just likes being at events and wants to help out as well, just greeting people, we're open to that. But yeah, I'm working on these repair events where community members can bring in items that don't work or broken in any way, clothing, shoes,
Hmm.
skis, bikes, whatever. And repair
Yes.
heroes, we like to call them, volunteers will share their knowledge on fixing and
Yes.
help them fix these things. And it's just a great way of um, growing repair culture. So repair, not replace is kind of our motto.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
yeah, also, yeah, it's really exciting. And I mean, to connect with me, I don't have like my own thing, but you can connect with me through
Yeah.
Sustainable Queenstown. I'm also going
Yay.
to be supporting a community wellbeing program through Headlight Trust. So that's another way you can connect with me. I can send
Cool.
links, but yeah, just email me. I'll send my
Yeah.
email to you, Jay. And if you've got
Yes.
any
And when
kind
your
of
events are up.
fun, yeah, anytime if you've got an idea for something creative, something that will just make our community a more connected place, get in touch because I love a project
Hmm.
that does that for the community. I'm in the creative arts. I'm like I said, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I write, and it's something I'm always open to collaborate on. And
Hmm.
yeah, so just get in touch if you've got anything community because I just love being amongst it.
Yes, I can feel that.
Yeah.
That's so good. And when some of your events come up, I'll share them on
Yes.
the
Oh,
podcast too.
thank you. Yeah, that's
Yes,
fabulous. Thank you so
that's what it
much.
is all about, supporting each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Oh, and
Hmm.
Aiden's already signed up too.
Yes, sweet.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Wow, it was beautiful actually. I'm excited to reflect back on this convo and to
Mm.
see what comes through for others and sharing beautiful pieces of what you've shared and what you've asked, and the receiving, the reciprocity of this is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much for being here,
Thank
and
you for
sharing.
doing
Yeah.
this amazing mahi. Like I I'm telling everyone about your podcast, by the way, because
Yay!
I'm just like you listen to them and you might just listen to some of it and just go, wow, these people are just so incredible. And then one little bit just sticks with you. And I feel like all the conversations, there's never that pressure. Sometimes you listen to these podcasts that are like, oh my gosh, now I feel like I've got to go and like do all the amazing things for self-improvement
Hmm.
or for community improvement or like, you know. And with this one, I just feel like it's that invitation. Come along,
Yes.
see
Yes.
where you sit, you know, and I love that is that vibe is just all through, regardless of who the person is and what the conversation is about. You just feel like you're in the room listening and feeling good about it because you might take away one line that really just stuck with you
Hmm.
and it's still transformative, you know, and I love that. So thank you for doing this and thank you for
Oh my
having me
gosh.
on.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. And for those who are listening, thank you so much for being here with us. And we love to hear from you. And if anything drops in, or if you need any support with anything, or if you want to do something community with Neha, do it. I totally recommend that. But thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.